Hello everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive into a topic that I know is near and dear to many of you. Or should I say, near and painful to many of you. We're talking about knee health, specifically for seniors in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you're listening to this, chances are you or someone you love has been dealing with knee pain, stiffness, or just that frustrating feeling that no matter what you do, your knee just isn't getting better. Maybe you've tried exercises, maybe you've seen a doctor, or maybe you've even invested in one of those fancy knee braces you see advertised on TV late at night. But still, nothing seems to work. Why is that? Why does it feel like your knee is stuck in this rut, refusing to improve? Well, today we're going to unpack the top 5 reasons why your knee isn't improving. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll have a much clearer picture of what's going on and what you can do about it. Now, before we jump in, I want to set the stage a little bit. Our knees are incredible joints. They've carried us through decades of walking, running, dancing, and maybe even a little too much kneeling in the garden. But as we hit our 60s, 70s, and 80s, those knees start to show their age. And for many of us, that wear and tear doesn't just go away with a little rest or a heating pad. So let's get into it. We're going to take our time with each reason, explore why it happens, how it affects you, and what you might be able to do about it. Ready? Here we go. All right, let's start with the big one. And I'm willing to bet this is no surprise to many of you. Reason number 1 why your knee isn't improving: osteoarthritis. Now, if you've never heard of osteoarthritis, it's basically the most common type of arthritis, and it's what happens when the cartilage, the cushiony stuff between your bones, starts to wear down. For seniors in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, this is practically a rite of passage. Studies show that by age 65, about half of us will have some signs of osteoarthritis in our knees, and by 80, that number climbs even higher. So why does this stop your knee from improving? Well, think of cartilage like the shock absorbers in your car. When they're new, they keep everything smooth and comfortable, but when they wear out, every bump in the road jolts you. In your knee, once that cartilage is gone, bone starts rubbing on bone, and that causes pain, swelling, and stiffness. And here's the kicker: cartilage doesn't grow back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if you're waiting for your knee to just heal on its own, osteoarthritis might be the reason it's not happening. Now let's break this down a bit more. In your 60s, you might notice osteoarthritis starting to creep in. Maybe after years of playing sports or carrying extra weight. By your 70s, it might be more pronounced, with mornings where your knee feels like it's locked up. And by your 80s, it could be a constant companion, making even simple things like getting out of a chair a challenge. The progression isn't the same for everyone, though. Some folks might have mild symptoms for years, while others feel it hit hard and fast. What can you do about it? Well, you can't reverse osteoarthritis, but you can manage it. Things like low-impact exercise, think swimming or cycling, can keep the joint moving without grinding it down more. Pain relievers or anti-inflammatory meds might help too, though you'd want to talk to your doctor about that. And in some cases, injections or even surgery might be on the table. The point is, if osteoarthritis is the culprit, doing nothing and hoping for improvement isn't going to cut it. You've got to take action, tailored to where you're at in this journey. Moving on to reason number 2. Muscle weakness and imbalance. Now, this one might not be the first thing that pops into your head when you think about knee pain, but trust me, it's a huge player. Your knee isn't just a standalone joint floating around in your leg. It's supported by a whole team of muscles, tendons, and ligaments. And for seniors in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, those muscles can start to lose their strength and coordination, which throws everything off. Let's paint a picture here. Imagine your quadriceps, the big muscles on the front of your thigh. They're supposed to help stabilize your knee and take some of the load off the joint. But as we age, we naturally lose muscle mass. A fancy term for that is sarcopenia. By your 60s, you might not notice it too much, but by your 70s and 80s, it can really add up. If those quads weaken, your knee has to work harder, and that can make pain worse or keep it from getting better. Same goes for your hamstrings in the back or even your glutes. Those big muscles in your backside. If they're not pulling their weight, your knee suffers. And then there's imbalance. Maybe one side of your leg is stronger than the other, Or maybe years of favoring one leg have left your muscles lopsided. I see this a lot with folks who've had an injury in the past, say a sprained ankle or a twisted knee. You start compensating, and over time, that throws your whole system out of whack. For someone in their 80s, this might mean a knee that feels wobbly or unstable, even if the joint itself isn't the main problem. So how do you tackle this? Exercise is key, but not just any exercise. You need targeted strength training, like leg lifts or gentle squats, to build those muscles back up. Physical therapy can be a game changer here, especially if you've got imbalances to sort out. And don't worry if you're thinking, I'm 80, I can't start lifting weights. You don't need to. Even light resistance bands or chair exercises can make a difference. The trick is consistency. Your knee won't improve if those muscles stay weak, so this is about playing the long game. Okay, let's move to reason number 3, and this one's a bit of a double-edged sword: inactivity or overuse. It's funny how these two opposites can both stop your knee from improving, but they do, and they're super common for seniors. Let's break them down one at a time. First, inactivity. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s and your knee hurts, it's tempting to just sit down and rest it. I get it. Why move if it's going to ache? But here's the problem. When you stop moving, your knee gets stiffer. The joint needs motion to stay lubricated. There's this stuff called synovial fluid that acts like oil for your knee, and it only flows when you use it. Plus, sitting too much lets those muscles we just talked about get even weaker. For someone in their 70s, maybe you've cut back on walks because of the pain, and now your knee feels worse than ever. By your 80s, if you're barely moving, that stiffness can turn into a vicious cycle. Now, flip the coin: overuse. This is the other side of the story, and it's just as tricky. Maybe you're in your 60s and still pushing yourself like you're 30. Gardening all day, climbing ladders, or hitting the tennis court. Or in your 70s, you're determined to keep up with the grandkids, chasing them around the park. Even in your 80s, you might be overdoing it without realizing it. Too much stress on an aging knee can inflame it, wear down that cartilage we talked about, and keep it from healing. So what's the sweet spot? It's all about balance. You've got to move enough to keep the joint loose and the muscles strong, but not so much that you're grinding it into the ground. A good rule of thumb is to aim for 20 to 30 minutes of gentle activity most days. Walking, stretching, maybe some water aerobics if you've got access to a pool. Listen to your body though. If your knee swells up or screams at you, back off a little. Finding that middle ground is key to getting improvement instead of stagnation. Reason number 4 might surprise you. It's poor nutrition and inflammation. Now you might be thinking, what does my diet have to do with my knee? And I'll tell you, more than you'd expect. For seniors in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, what you eat can either help your knee heal or keep it stuck in a rut. Let's start with inflammation. When your knee is inflamed, think swelling, heat, that tight feeling, it's harder for it to improve. And certain foods can crank up inflammation in your body. Things like sugar, processed junk, and too much red meat can trigger it. If you're in your 60s and still grabbing fast food a few times a week, that could be quietly sabotaging your knee. By your 70s or 80s, years of eating that way might mean chronic inflammation that's settled into your joints. On the flip side, your knee needs nutrients to stay as healthy as it can. Cartilage, bones, and muscles all rely on stuff like vitamin D, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids. If you're not getting enough, say because you're skipping fish, leafy greens, or dairy, that joint isn't getting the support it needs. And as we age, our bodies aren't as good at absorbing those nutrients, so it's even more important to be intentional about it. What can you do? Start small. Add some salmon or walnuts for those omega-3s. They're great for fighting inflammation. Get outside for a bit of sunshine to boost vitamin D, or talk to your doctor about a supplement if you're in your 80s and not as mobile. Cut back on the sweets and fried stuff. It's not about a total overhaul, just little shifts that can calm down inflammation and give your knee a fighting chance. Finally, reason number 5, ignoring underlying medical issues. This one's a bit of a catch-all because there are so many things that can sneak up on you in your 60s, 70s, and 80s that affect your knee. It's not always just about the joint itself. Sometimes there's something bigger at play. Take obesity, for example. Extra weight puts a ton of pressure on your knees. Every pound you carry is like 4 pounds of force on the joint when you walk. If you're in your 60s and carrying 20 extra pounds, that's 80 pounds of stress your knee wasn't built for. By your 70s or 80s, that can add up to serious damage. Or maybe it's diabetes, which can mess with circulation and healing. Poor blood flow means your knee isn't getting the oxygen and nutrients it needs to recover. Then there's stuff like gout, an arthritis type caused by uric acid buildup, or even old injuries you've forgotten about, like a ligament tear from your 40s that's now catching up with you. For someone in their 80s, it could even be nerve issues, like sciatica, making your knee pain worse than it needs to be. The fix here? Don't ignore it. See a doctor if your knee's been stuck for a while. Get a full checkup, blood tests, weight assessment, maybe an X-ray. Treating the root cause could unlock improvement where nothing else has worked. It's about connecting the dots, and that takes a little detective work. So there you have it, our top 5 reasons why your knee isn't improving if you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. Osteoarthritis progression, muscle weakness and imbalance, inactivity or overuse, poor nutrition and inflammation, and ignoring underlying medical issues. We've covered a lot of ground here, and I hope you're walking away, maybe figuratively if your knee's acting up, with some new ideas about what's going on and how to tackle it. The big takeaway? Your knee isn't doomed. It might not ever be 20 years old again, but improvement is possible with the right approach. Talk to your doctor, try some gentle exercises, tweak your diet, and don't give up. You've got decades of life in those legs, let's keep them moving as long as we can. Thanks for sticking with me through this, and I'll catch you next time.